you ever wondered how a native speaker would answer real IELTS questions? Today, I asked my friend Scarlett from England, who speaks with a beautiful British accent, to answer a few questions from recent exams. And you'll see exactly what makes a great answer and what you can learn from her to improve your own score. So let's start by talking about rain. No, that's not because Scarlett is from England at all. So listen to the first two answers she gave, and the first question was this. Do you like rain?
I love the rain. I think it's perfect when you have a lot of plants that need watering and need to live.
What do you usually do on a rainy day?
I think I either take an umbrella with some headphones and go for a nice walk, or I spend time inside.
There is absolutely no question that Scarlett can speak great English. But the examiner only assesses what they hear. So if the answers are too short, there is just not much to assess, especially if you're not as fluent. So I asked Scarlett to expand her answers to bring them closer to about 20 seconds per answer, and that made a real difference. Listen again. Do you like rain?
I love the rain. I enjoy kind of the freshness of the rain, the smell of the rain, and I know that the plants are getting watered, so that's also a benefit.
What do you usually do on a rainy day?
I think it's one of two things. I either love to kind of take an umbrella and go for a nice long walk in the rain, or I quite like to be tucked up inside, watching the rain from inside under a duvet.
I particularly like this answer because it has a bit of structure. So we know Scarlett will be talking about two things. And then she presents them, so it's very easy to follow the answer. By the way, to be tucked up means to be under a duvet or blanket on the bed or on the sofa where you're warm and cozy. You could say, I love being tucked up on the sofa with a good book. One other thing I want you to take from these answers is that Scarlett is not trying to sound formal or make her answers complex to get a high score. She naturally includes a lot of complex features in some other answers, and I'll show you what those are later in this video. But listen to how simple and beautiful the next answer is. What's the climate like where you live?
In England, it's very varied. I would say in the winter time, it's a lot colder, a lot more rain and snow. And then when it gets to spring and summer, it really warms up and there's a lot more sun. So that's nice.
I know that a lot of you use ChatGPT to prepare. So I asked it what score this answer would get. And it said a band 6, 6.5. But Scarlett would get a 9 in her exam. So don't try to overcomplicate things when you don't need to. ChatGPT cannot give band scores. And yes, we could probably make this answer better, to develop ideas a little bit more smoothly, to use more varied grammar and vocabulary. For example, we could add words changeable, damp, occasional snowfall, and gradually improves. And don't take me wrong, ChatGPT's version is great. Just don't set yourself an unrealistically high target. Scarlett's answer is good enough. Okay, now let's take another topic and see what it takes to get a band 9 grammar score. Let's talk about ambitions and goals. Are you an ambitious person?
I would like to think so. There's definitely goals that I set for myself, yeah.
Have you noticed how Scarlett said there is goals? I've been taught at school that you must say there are goals. And strictly speaking, this is true. But more and more native speakers use there is. There is rules, there is scores. And if you do too, that's not necessarily a problem. But generally, I would say that you should try to use correct English grammar when you're taking an IELTS test. Second, if you make some mistakes, it's okay too. And you shouldn't think that an EVO examiner is deducting marks for each mistake. Even band 9 speakers make some slips. So examiners do want to hear a variety of grammatical structures in your answers. And some questions are designed to encourage you to use certain grammatical rules. So let's have a look. Here is one. Have your goals changed over time?
Yeah, definitely. I think as I get older, I care more about certain things than maybe I did when I was younger. So yeah, they changed.
The question is asking to compare your goals today and in the past. Have your goals changed over time? And that's what Scarlett did. She compared the present, as I get older, I care more about certain things, to the past than maybe I did when I was younger. And she uses the past simple tense to talk about the past. In this question, we could use the present perfect and add some detail. For example, I'd say my goals shifted quite a bit. I used to focus mainly on academic achievements at school and then at university, but over the years, I started to care more about things like work-life balance and doing things I actually enjoy. And in this example, I used to means that you did something regularly or often in the past, but you don't do it anymore. And I've started to care more means that you still care about it. So that's the present perfect. You still care about your work-life balance. Or it means you don't want to just work, you want to have time for your family, friends and hobbies. By the way, all the topics we're using today were reported in recent exams and I've just added them to our IELTS speaking library. This is a collection of over 40 topics from real exams with sample answers and vocabulary which can help you improve your answers. I'll link it below, and if you've already purchased it, you can download the updated version on your student portal. Oh yes, and if you want to download the questions only, you can do that for free on our Telegram channel. Now let's change the topic again and look at some other things Scarlett uses in her answers that could help you improve your score too. Let's talk about advertisements. Do you pay attention to adverts?
I think I can't help but pay attention to adverts because they always seem to be there. I don't think I necessarily watch them fully, but I'm very aware that yes, they're there, so I guess I have to pay attention.
There are a lot of little things that make this answer sound so natural and fluent. For example, I can't help but pay attention. This is quite an advanced structure, which means that you have this automatic reaction. I can't help but judge people's shopping trolleys in the supermarket. Another good way to use is seem. They always seem to be there. It softens your language, and people in Britain do that a lot. Or, I guess I have to pay attention. So this is how we often speak when we're thinking, and it uses the modal verb have instead of just saying I pay attention. Now, is the next answer any good? The question is, do you think ads influence what people buy?
Yeah, I definitely think they influence what people buy.
It just repeats the question, right? So this answer doesn't show her English skills. And basically, this is not an ideal answer that anyone may give, even a native speaker. So try to use other words in your answer, try to paraphrase, and also expand your answer a bit, like this.
I think subconsciously you see something over and over again and then can't help but notice it maybe when you're out and about, which might draw you in to buy it.
This is so much better, right? And the vocabulary is great. Subconsciously. This means without realizing it. Something influences what you do, but you're not aware of it. It happens subconsciously. Also, have you noticed that Scarlett uses a lot of phrasal verbs? You're out and about. So this means you go from place to place. Let's say shopping, having coffee, walking in the park. Then draw you in. This means to attract you. Bright colors draw me in. And phrasal verbs are great because they belong to what's called idiomatic language, and examiners do check if you use it. So that's not just about idioms like it's a piece of cake or once in a blue moon. Phrasal verbs are idiomatic because they have a meaning that is not the same as the meaning of each word. Like, you're out and about. Without knowing the meaning, you won't understand it. Examiners also assess idiomatic expressions, like in the next answer. The question is, are there any ads you find particularly memorable?
I love adverts that have a real element of storytelling. So it's not just about the product being in your face, but maybe there's an emotion or a feeling or something that resonates with you also within the advert.
In this answer, be in your face is an idiomatic expression. It means to attract your attention in quite an aggressive way, to be in your face, but not literally. There is also some complex topic-specific vocabulary, like a real element of storytelling or something that resonates with you. To resonate means something emotionally connects or feels meaningful to you personally. For example, her story of starting a YouTube channel really resonated with me. Now, there are some situations in IELTS speaking when you may get a hard question or you don't know what to say. So see how Scholar dealt with them. These are great techniques for your exam too. Let's change the topic again and talk about fishing. Is fishing a popular activity in your country?
Wow, that's a hard question. For me personally, it's not something I would do all the time in my country, but I'm sure there's a lot of people in England who do go fishing, yes.
You may be asked about something you don't know much about. So first, she bought herself a bit of time by saying, "That's a hard question." And then she talked about her experience. "That's not something I would do all the time," which is a very British way to say, "No, I don't really like fishing, I don't go fishing." And then she talks about what other people might do. So here are a few phrases you can use in your answers to gather your thoughts. That's an interesting one. I've never really thought about it before. I guess it depends on who you ask. I'm not totally sure, but I'd say, to be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that, but now that I think about it, maybe off the top of my head, I'd say I might be wrong, but I think all these phrases sound very natural as long as you use them where they make sense and don't overuse the same phrase. Now, sometimes you may hear a question when you just want to say no. But there is a better way to answer. Listen to this. The question is, would you like to go fishing in the future?
It's not something that's at the forefront of my mind. However, if an opportunity came up where my friends offered me to go fishing for some kind of experience, then I wouldn't say no.
This phrase is great. It's not something that's at the forefront of my mind. This means I haven't thought about it. The question itself is asking you about a hypothetical, unreal situation. Would you like? And ideally, you use this structure in your answer. Have a look at this. If an opportunity came up, I wouldn't say no. So this is called a conditional type 3 sentence. And if you know how to use it, it's great for your score. This is also a very polite way to say probably I'm never gonna go fishing, but who knows, maybe. A really fluent speaker doesn't try to put a lot of complexity where it's not needed, but can easily use complex vocabulary or grammar when the situation requires. But all the examples we've seen so far are from part 1. Part 3 is quite different in both the style of questions asked and the answers expected from you, and you can learn how to give great answers in this video here. And if you'd like to check out the speaking library, it's linked below. Thank you so much for watching us today, and good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye!